Picture this, because I guarantee this is happening in a living room somewhere right now. A couple sits at their kitchen table, staring at their bank account. They make $105,000 combined. That's nearly double the median household income in America. They should feel rich. They should feel successful. Instead, they just got an overdraft notice. They're 3 months behind on building their emergency fund. They can't afford to fix their car without putting it on a credit card. And last week, they had a genuine argument about whether they could afford a $40 dinner at Olive Garden. They feel broke, and they feel ashamed for feeling broke because they know they make good money. What if I told you they're not financially irresponsible? What if I told you that making $100,000 in 2026 is fundamentally different than making $100,000 10 years ago? That the system has quietly shifted beneath our feet and nobody bothered to update the cultural narrative about what constitutes a good salary? What if I told you that $100,000 today has roughly the same purchasing power as $50,000 did in the early 2000s, and I can prove it with actual data? My name is Kyle, and I spend way too much time analyzing the math behind why middle-class salaries don't feel middle-class anymore. If you're someone making what should be good money but struggling to understand why it doesn't feel like enough, or if people keep telling you you're bad with money when you know something deeper is wrong, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Because today, we're not talking about budgeting tips. We're dissecting why the six-figure salary, the symbol of success for an entire generation, has quietly become the new working poor.
Let's start with the part nobody talks about. The marginal tax rate trap. Most people think if you make $100,000, you pay your tax rate, and that's it. But that's not how it actually works for families in this income bracket. Meet Rachel and Tom. Combined household income, $112,000. Sounds great. Rachel makes $68,000 as a teacher. Tom makes $44,000 in retail management. 2 kids, ages 3 and 5. They live in a mid-sized city, nothing fancy. Let's do the actual math on what they take home. Federal income tax on $112,000 married filing jointly, roughly $11,000 after standard deduction. State income tax, depends on the state, but let's say $4,500 in an average state. FICA taxes, that's Social Security and Medicare, $8,568. That's not optional. Total taxes before they even see the money, $24,068. They're down to $87,932. But wait, we're not done. Health insurance premiums through Tom's employer, $650 per month for a family plan with a $5,000 deductible. That's $7,800 per year. Now they're at $80,132. And here's where it gets brutal. Childcare for 2 kids. The national average for daycare is $1,200 per month per child. That's $28,800 per year. Rachel and Tom are now at $51,332 in actual discretionary income. From $112,000 to $51,332 before they've paid rent, bought groceries, or put gas in the car. That's a 54% reduction. Over half their income is gone before they make a single lifestyle choice. Compare that to someone making $50,000 in 2005. Federal taxes were lower, health insurance was half the cost, and childcare averaged $600 per month per child. After the same deductions, that person had about $38,000 in discretionary income. Adjust for inflation to 2026 dollars, that's roughly $58,000. So Rachel and Tom, making $112,000 in 2026, have less real purchasing power than someone making $50,000 20 years ago. That's not a budgeting problem. That's a systemic erosion of middle-class income. Now let's talk about where that remaining $51,000 goes, because this is where the math gets really depressing. Housing. In 2019, the median rent for a 2-bedroom apartment in a mid-sized city was about $1,400. In 2026, that same apartment is $1,850. That's a 32% increase in 7 years. Rachel and Tom paid $22,200 per year in rent. They're down to $29,132. Transportation. They need 2 cars to get to work because public transit doesn't exist where they live. Car payments, insurance, gas, maintenance, $800 per month combined. That's $9,600 per year, down to $19,532. Groceries. The USDA estimates a family of 4 needs $1,200 per month for a moderate-cost food plan in 2026. That's not eating out, that's groceries. $14,400 per year, down to $5,132.
That's $427 per month left for everything else. Utilities, phone, internet, clothes for 2 growing kids, school supplies, car repairs, medical copays, dental work, haircuts, birthday presents, every single unexpected expense. And God forbid they want to save for retirement or build an emergency fund. This is why $100,000 feels broke, because after mandatory expenses, there's almost nothing left. And the cultural narrative still says, you make 6 figures, you should be fine. But the math says otherwise. Now here's the part that makes people genuinely angry when they learn about it: the benefit cliff. This is the phenomenon where earning more money actually makes you poorer because you lose access to government assistance programs. Let's say Rachel gets a promotion. She goes from $68,000 to $78,000. That's a $10,000 raise. Amazing, right? But here's what happens. At a $112,000 household income, their kids barely qualified for subsidized after-school care, saving them $200 per month. At $122,000, they're over the threshold. That benefit disappears. That's $2,400 per year gone. They were also getting a small subsidy on their health insurance through the ACA marketplace. At $122,000, that disappears too. Their premiums go up by $150 per month. That's $1,800 per year. Their kids were eligible for reduced-price school lunch, not free, but reduced. At $122,000, they now pay full price. That's another $800 per year for 2 kids. So Rachel's $10,000 raise just cost them $5,000 in lost benefits, and because she's in a higher tax bracket now, the effective tax rate on that extra $10,000 is about 35% when you include federal, state, and FICA. She's paying $3,500 in additional taxes. Total? Rachel worked harder, got promoted, brought home an extra $10,000 gross, and the family netted $1,500. That's a 15% real raise on a 15% nominal raise because of taxes and benefit cliffs. This is why people in the $100,000 to $200,000 range feel trapped. You make too much to qualify for help, but not enough to actually be comfortable. Let me show you the data that proves this isn't just anecdotal whining. A 2025 study by the Financial Health Network found that 1/3 of households earning between $100,000 and $150,000 report significant financial stress and struggle to pay monthly bills. 1/3. These aren't people buying yachts. These are people who can't afford a $1,000 emergency. A Bankrate survey from late 2025 found that 45% of 6-figure earners live paycheck to paycheck, not because they're buying designer handbags every week, but because the baseline cost of a middle-class life has inflated faster than salaries. Housing costs have increased 38% since 2019. Childcare costs have increased 24%. Health insurance premiums have increased 22%. Used car prices have increased 35%, but median wages for college-educated workers have increased only 18% in the same period. The costs are rising twice as fast as the income. Here's the stat that should make you furious. In 1985, a single median income could support a family of 4,
buy a house, and save for retirement. In 2026, two median incomes can barely do that. We've gone from a one-income middle class to a two-income struggling class in 40 years. This isn't because people are lazy or bad with money. It's because the math has fundamentally changed and the cultural expectations haven't caught up. So what do you do with this information? How do you operate in a system where $100,000 doesn't mean what it used to? First, stop comparing yourself to outdated benchmarks. Your parents bought a house at 28 on one salary. Good for them. That economy is dead. You're not failing because you can't do that at 35 on two salaries. The game changed. Second, recognize that lifestyle optimization is not the solution to a structural problem. Yes, you should budget. Yes, you should avoid stupid debt. But you're not going to budget your way out of childcare costing $30,000 a year. You need systemic solutions or systemic workarounds.
Third, understand that geographic arbitrage might be your best lever. $100,000 in San Francisco is poverty. $100,000 in Omaha is comfortable. If you can work remotely, moving to a lower cost of living area might be the single biggest financial decision you ever make. It's not giving up, it's recognizing math. Fourth, accept that the two-income trap is real and plan accordingly. If both parents are working primarily to afford childcare so they can work, you're not getting ahead, you're running in place. Sometimes one parent staying home is actually the higher net worth move when you do the full accounting. And fifth, get angry and vote accordingly. This isn't a personal finance problem, it's a policy problem. Childcare shouldn't cost $30,000. Healthcare shouldn't cost $15,000. Housing shouldn't eat 40% of your income. Other developed countries figure this out. We can too. Here's what I want you to take away. If you make $100,000 and you feel broke, you're not crazy and you're not bad with money. The system has shifted, the goalposts moved, and nobody sent a memo. The $100,000 salary is no longer the marker of financial success it was sold as. It's the new working poor in many cities, and until we acknowledge that reality, people are going to keep blaming themselves for a systemic failure. You're not failing, the math is failing you. But understanding the math gives you power. Power to make better geographic decisions, career decisions, family planning decisions. Power to stop feeling ashamed and start getting strategic. If this video made you realize you're not alone in this, share it with someone making good money and feeling broke. Hit subscribe because we're going to keep breaking down the invisible systems keeping the middle class stuck. $100,000 isn't what it used to be. Now you know why.